Okay, guys, let's go ahead and stand up real quick, quietly. Stand up. Get a little room. Get a little room. Give yourself just a little bit of room. Okay, so let's make an L with our hands. All right? Make an L with your hands. Today we're going to be talking about line graphs. Okay? And this is kind of the setup for a line graph. Am I correct? This look right? Okay, so since you guys all have your hands raised, I will go ahead and call on you guys as we talk about this. Okay, so we're just like this, straight up and down. What would this line be on our line graph? Which axis would this line be, Logan?
A y-axis.
Why? Because why? Y goes high, right? The y-axis. Which line is this? Is this a vertical or a horizontal line?
Horizontal.
Which would the line be that goes straight up? Vertical. Vertical line. Okay, Riley, what line would go to the side?
Horizontal.
Horizontal line. Okay, good job. Let's take a seat. Let's take a seat. Will someone please raise your hand and read the essential question to me that I have on the board today? Haley, why don't you go ahead and read that?
How can you use a line graph to display and analyze real-world data?
How can you use a line graph to display and analyze real-world data? Thank you, Haley. Okay, so that's what we're going to do today. In front of you, you see that you have a sheet. Okay? On this sheet, it is labeled NCAA Team Championships. Okay? These are the total number of championships of the for top 5 in the nation of the teams that have won a total or that have won a title. Okay? So we are going to turn this information into a line graph today. Okay? To start with, I want you guys to quietly talk in your groups about the basic tools or the essentials that we need to create a line graph. Okay, so just at your tables, real quick, whisper talk about tools that we need to create a line graph. What do we have to do? Go ahead and get started with that. Okay, eyes up here, please. So, what are some things that we talked about? Let's hear from this group real quick.
We talked about how to put the places and where the points go.
Okay, so labeling. Labeling a line graph is huge. I'm glad you guys brought that up, and we'll get to that here real quick. How about this group? Dylan?
We mentioned about labeling the line graph.
Okay, the Y and the X axis, talked about that. Did anyone talk about the scale or what's going to go on the bottom, what's going to go on the top? Okay, good, good. Okay, so let's get into that. We have our information. We have, like I said before, we have the total championships, we have the teams listed, and the number of championships for each team. In a scale, which is on the y-axis, correct? Scale is on the y-axis. Which information do you think we are going to put on the scale? Do you think we will put the teams or the numbers? Raise your hand, please. Riley?
On the scale?
On the scale, on the y-axis going up. Okay, you think, when we talk about making a line graph, do you think that we usually want the teams on the bottom or the teams on the side?
Bottom.
Okay, so we'll look at that. I like that idea though. Let's go with teams on the bottom. So go ahead, you can real quick put your teams on the bottom, okay? And I will show you mine as we get started here. Here's mine right up here on the board. Okay, so I have labeled Duke, UNC for North Carolina, just to make them a little bit shorter, right? IU for Indiana, and University of Kentucky, UK for Kentucky, and then UCLA. Okay, so you can use those short, I guess you could call them abbreviations. You could use those for the teams, okay? So just so it's not too big on your paper. So go ahead and make sure you have those 5 teams on your paper. Haley? You can put UNC, that'd be great, okay? Great. Good job. Looks good. Okay, so let's quickly go to the scale. The scale, what do you think that we should go on? And I know I have it up here already, Logan, but what are we seeing that our scale should be? Twos? You think we should go by twos or ones?
I don't know, like,
Okay, I'm thinking ones, just due to the fact that we don't have that many numbers. Okay, it's pretty simple for us to go 0 up to 14, right? And we should leave, on our scale, you should leave a little short of what we're working with, and then go long of what we're working with, so we can see our line graph at the end and what we're dealing with, okay? So Sam, on our scale, let's go ahead and get our scale going from 0 to 14, correct? So right up the, and which axis is that on? Raise your hand, please. Dylan?
the X.
What's this axis? Going high.
Y.
Y-axis, correct. Good job. So let's get our y-axis, and remember, that's called a scale. Okay? So now it's time to label that. Now it's time to label this line graph. What do you think our title of our line graph should be? Raise your hand. Mason?
NCAA Team Champion.
NCAA Team Championships. You want to go ahead and grab a marker on the smartboard, please, and do that for me? Now remember, don't touch your wrist on the smartboard. Try keeping it away, and let's put the title up on top. And what should we do with the title? You're good. Should it all be capitalized, or
Yes.
what should we do? Okay, we should capitalize all the words, correct? Okay, if you want to use this, you can. Okay, and while he's finishing this up, let's be thinking about what title we should give, or what we should label our y-axis. Lily, what do you think we should label our y-axis?
Titles one.
Okay, titles 1 or number of wins. Okay, go ahead and write that on the side on our y-axis. And you can write it if you want. You can write it going upwards if you're able to do that. You want to go with number of wins? Okay, so let's for number, let's just shorten it up and go, okay, and then write of wins going up, okay? There you go. Number of wins. Okay, so now what do you think we should label our x-axis? Our x-axis, Stephen?
The teams.
The teams. So why don't you come up here and write teams under there? Okay? All right, thank you very much. All right, so now it's time to fill out the information. The good stuff, right? This is why we're doing it. But we have to be able to get a line graph ready before we can label the information, all right? So we can't just go and label information, fill out our line graph if we don't have anything labeled, right? The labels help us a lot. It kind of tells us exactly what we have to do, right? Okay, so let's look at some of these numbers. How many championships does UCLA have, Riley? How many championships? What's that?
11.
11 championships. And even though Duke's the best team, how many do they have? Raise your hand, please. Kobe?
5. 4.
4. So Duke has 4. Okay, so now we are going to label these, we'll fill these out. So we have Duke first. Who would like to come up and plot the point for Duke? Dylan? So if they have 4 wins, what do you think we should do? You should go to where first? Go to Duke and then where? Up to? 4. Okay, so is 4, let's check this out. 4 would you kind of got it at 4.5. See, that's running that line there, isn't it? Okay, so where should we plot the point exactly? Down just a little bit. Yep, that'll work. It's kind of off balance there a little bit. We'll go right there. Okay, thank you very much, Dylan. Okay, so what is our next team listed? UNC. What's that an abbreviation for, Logan? What team is UNC on there? North Carolina. And how many championships do they have?
5.
5. You want to go ahead and label that for us? So what's your first step? You want to go down which axis first? Okay. And what one is that? Which axis is that? The horizontal line? X. And then you go up to the Y and label it at which number? 5. Perfect. Thank you very much. Good job. All right. Gavin, how many does Indiana University have?
5.
5. Okay, would you like to come label that for us? Okay, and stay with us here, guys. We'll see if we can, we'll check it. So Indiana is labeled Indiana University, right? So go there first and then where? 5. Good. Okay, put a little dot there. There you go. So what do we see there? Are UNC and what's the comparison between UNC and Indiana? Raise your hand, please. Everyone see this? What's the comparison between Caitlin?
They're
They have the same amount of titles, correct? And that's going to be pretty easy to see once we connect our dots, isn't it? Okay, and that's the importance of a line graph. Without knowing, without even filling this, or without even just looking at the line graph, we're able to walk up to our